Hello. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check. You
Everything
sound
good?
good. Yes.
Yes. Let's
Yes.
proceed with the planned recording.
The schedule.
Three, two, one. Welcome everybody to.
I can't even remember what it's called. What? How was Norway?
Norway was really nice. Norway is always nice.
What was nice
It's
about it?
like Danish, but they talk a little bit weird.
Is it still expensive or is it cheap now because their currency is like screwed?
Yeah, it's not bad. Actually, it's not bad. Everything is mountains, rock everywhere. The woods are made of how the woods are made. The houses are made of wood. But you can snowboard way easier when there's snow everywhere and mountains. So one benefit is that it's very easier to snowboard. I was on snowboard again. I I prefer skis actually, but I had a few years in my youth where I was snowboarding, and my son wanted to learn to snowboard, so I was back on the board, and luckily it's like bicycling.
Was it
You
just you and him?
Yes, and one of my friends and his eldest kid.
Oh, that sounds like a lot
So
of
it
fun.
was a boys trip.
Amazing.
It was really great, yeah. Uh, and
Nice.
Bertil managed to snowboard pretty good. So it was nice. It was nice. The funniest thing happened. Uh, uh, at one point I was like driving out from the area, sort of tiny hytte area where we lived, and a car in front of me was turning left, like in directly in front of me, and I looked at the driver, and like it immediately struck me that's Christian Juhl, like our friend that we haven't seen for like 10 years or something. So I texted him, "Was it actually your face that I saw?" And it was. So he came by one evening for a quick beer and a chat, which was just like so weird when coincidences like that happen. You just go to a different country, completely out of context, see someone that you haven't seen for 10 years.
Well, I do kind of forget always that there's like this strange connection between Aalborg, where you live, and Norway. Because every time I go to Aalborg, it's like full of Norwegians, and I think it's because the ferry. We
Oh
go
yeah,
to
might be.
we go to
Yeah.
Aalborg to hang out with our friends from Norway too, because then they take the ferry down,
Mm.
and we drive up there.
Yeah, yeah, it is pretty quick to the ferry, and we have like there's three options. You can sail to Kristiansand or Larvik or Oslo, which is like, do we need all three options from just one tiny part of Denmark? But
Yeah,
seems like we do.
we only have the party boat, where you
Yeah,
just get
that's
drunk
right.
for overnight, and then you're in Norway.
But people actually take that one from Copenhagen to Oslo for just like for leisure, like
Yeah,
because they
and
have a
then they
nice
hang out
time on
for
the
the
boat.
afternoon, and then they go back, get drunk again, and then that's
Yep.
it.
Yeah. 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 I don't think
Yeah.
as many people do that when they go yourselves to Christiansand, but maybe there's some people.
After a good fishing trip, get
But it
drunk
was
on the
fun.
ferry for 2 hours.
Yeah, when you this was like I said, a boys' trip. So all of the, the nice things that come with having girls as part of the planning was like immediately obvious that when we drove to the ferry, and I had forgotten to renew Bertil's passport, but luckily because he's a Nordic kid, it's a slight bit of racism. He can go to Norway just fine, but as long as he has one parent. And then, as I mentioned this to Christopher, he said, I don't have any kind of ID. So we started out like, he started out frantically trying to figure out what his passport number was and then resetting up his digital driver's license on his phone. And it all failed. So in the end, he made it to the ferry and he showed them a picture of his passport. And the girl was really nice. She just said, like, yeah, it's fine. If you get stopped, it's on you. It's like, yeah, okay, that's fair. I wasn't planning on like directing it back to the girl at the ferry, but she let us in. So yeah, so
Nice.
it was a real boys trip. It was nice. How
Yeah, that
about you?
sounds like a lot of fun.
How was your week?
My week. Yeah. I mean, the main thing that happened is I did my talk yesterday.
Oh Oh,
in
how did it
Odense.
go?
Not very well.
Oh no.
Well, it was. I'll start by saying like the overall reason why it didn't go well was because my plan wasn't very good. So
Oh,
I take the
okay.
responsibility, but there's also a lot of other like there's a lot of factors that made it clear why my plan was bad. Um, and like one of the things was like I tweeted about this, but like literally everything I used in my talk was had major updates like 2 days before.
Oh,
So like there's a new Claude model. So like
yeah.
I tried to use 3.7 for the talk, but it was like impossible because it kept like erroring out because there were so many people trying to use it. But then something was different about 3.5 as well, and I think maybe I read somewhere that there was like a new system prompt or something like that.
Oh, that could be.
So like for like the past 2 or 3 days, like every other time I ask it to make a change to my Laravel app, like completely unrelated, it would go to the user class and add something related to like an avatar or like a profile photo. Is this the time when I cut out? Let's. Can you hear me now?
Go on.
Let's
Yeah.
before I before I do finish the talk section. Let's do the internet section because did
Oh
you hear
no.
that we have a listener who works at Cisco
Oh yeah, yeah. He
and he's like
promised to send you
I
some
can't.
stuff.
He's like I can't like not do something about this. So yeah, he said I sent him like some debug info and stuff like that, and he said he was gonna send me some equipment so we can figure out what's going on. So
Nice.
that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna document that journey here. Maybe he'll steal all my personal information or take over my life or something like that.
Does he have a Chinese sounding name? That's like I follow some people from the crypto space
Can I
still,
send you like a new internet router? There's no red flags. It's like
and
fine,
it's
yeah,
like
sure.
it's still a very good like a pre-check for any candidate applying for a crypto position
Yeah.
to make them say something bad about Kim Jong Un, which is an actual thing that they actually catch people with. That
Really?
some candidates
That's
just
so
really
funny.
don't want to say anything bad about the supreme leader, which is
It's really
just such a
funny.
funny. That's such a human thing that you have
Yeah.
to have that in your job application process that you should say something bad about a leader of a country.
Yeah. That's funny.
So
Well,
yeah, do
I
that
was
with the
doing the
router. Just
yeah.
check that you can say
Maybe
bad
check that it's
things.
wrapped.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the talk yeah, the hallucinating. It was what I was saying was every time I ask it to make a change or every other time to a Laravel app for the past 2 or 3 days, it's like it's added something to the user model that's completely unrelated, and it's always
Mm.
related to like either like user avatar or an avatar or a profile photo. So it's like it's insisting on like going to the user class, and it's like we're missing a profile photo in this user.
Do you have something in like a cursor file?
No, like if it had been like more persistent before doing the talk, I would have like tried to like have like a rule that it can never do that.
Such a weird opinion to have from a
Yeah,
machine
I
that
think it's just like
everybody
it's
should
just
have
seen
a
so many like Laravel user classes, and they probably all have like avatars
yeah.
and profile photos and stuff like that. So it's like this is clearly missing, and maybe that's why this app is broken right now because it doesn't have a profile photo. Um, yeah, so that was just like really annoying, and then it was extremely slow. So my prompts took like forever, and every time it was like, okay, let's search for all the files in this directory. It just took like several seconds every time,
Mhm.
which I think might have been like the network at the venue too.
Yeah, that could
Must
be.
could have been related somehow, or maybe it's just because like everyone is using Claude a lot for the past 2 days because there was a new update. Yeah, and then there was a
Claudalot.
new update of Cursor. Um, so Cursor like looked slightly different. Then did I freeze again? This I think this time
Only
is
only your
the
face.
yeah. I look really drunk in that. This time it was the iPhone, not my internet.
It's a professional setup you got there.
Yeah. For
All
this
right, so
podcast, it's fine, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah, I guess so. I have to live with it.
I can't afford the Ludwig Studio every other week or every week.
Let's see
Um,
if a sponsor thinks different.
Yeah, we should have a
All right.
sponsor.
So new
Yeah,
cursor as
so
well.
new cursor as well, and then major new Laravel release as well, which I
Oh,
think
that
maybe that
too.
could have been like that could have like been part of why it's hallucinating more with Laravel, maybe because it was like confused that there's a new version that it's never heard of before or something like that. Could like throw it off. Like that's the thing. Like I spent the 3.5 hours watching Andre Kapathi's LLM, uh, whatever ChatGPT walkthrough on YouTube,
Yeah.
and as I tweeted, like everyone should spend 3.5 hours watching that because if you do that, you know more about LLMs than almost anyone you know. I think because it's like really really in depth and it is just like taking a college class on an LLM.
Yeah.
People that took a college class on LLMs probably disagree, but I feel like
Yeah. You could
I feel
probably
like
spend more than 3 hours as well.
yeah, but it was just like the way he explains it is like makes it so approachable in a sense, and it
Yeah.
just kind of makes sense that like statistically like there's just like all these edge cases where like maybe a slight change, like maybe a new version of Laravel just sends it in this like in this corner of the model where it just always like make this like super random weird mistake that makes no sense, but it's just like statistically something that happens a lot or something like that that you can't really
Mm.
explain, but it's just kind of how the model, there's all these like dead ends basically in the models. Yeah, so basically the live coding part took way too long and it was too slow, and then the final thing was I thought I had 45 minutes but apparently it was only 30 minutes,
Oh.
which was a bit annoying too because it said 45 minutes in the program, but they only wanted the talk to be 30 minutes and then have like 15 minutes questions and stuff like that,
Oh.
which is like why the hell would you have 15 minutes questions are
For
stupid.
a 30-minute session. Yeah.
Questions are like it's like either someone who like completely didn't understand anything so it only helps them, or
Yes.
it's like people who just wants to hear themselves
Yeah, yeah,
say
yeah.
something smart in front of other people.
So like they
Yeah,
talk for 2 minutes and in the end you say yes.
yes,
That is
maybe.
correct.
Yeah, no, the questions yesterday wasn't like that, but that's kind of like that's how I feel about questions. Like,
Yeah.
let me do my talk. Yeah, so that was very annoying. And then so the reason my plan was bad was because the way I sort of structured the live coding part was that I was introducing like new concepts for every feature I added to the app, and I had these three features, but I couldn't move on. Like the first feature took way too long, and I couldn't move on because I sort of relied on that feature to build the next feature, and that
Oh.
was the problem. So I'm doing the talk again in a month, and I think I have a pretty good idea for how to make it better. So I think I'm gonna like I think I'm gonna like build an app in advance and then have this like kind of story that I pretend where I'm like, hey, I have this Laravel app. It's not my app, but it was just given to me, and I was asked to like make some changes to it. So that's what we're gonna do today. Because like one of the like what most people were actually like the feedback that most people were giving me was like they were curious to see what it's like working on an existing code base.
Yeah. That's probably the
Um,
situation, right?
right,
For
and then
99% of people.
right. So then I would be like, okay, so there's this thing here that we need to add. Let's start by seeing if we have any tests, just so we don't, mess anything up. And then look, oh, there's no tests. Like maybe Cursor can like help add some test coverage to this app.
Mm.
And then we add some tests, and then maybe there's like a known bug that I've added in advance, and then we can have Cursor like fix that bug. And then maybe we'll like add another feature or do like a refactoring or something like that. And I just think that's gonna work better. And then if they're unrelated things, I can abandon ship. Like if a part starts taking too long, I can
Yeah.
just like move on to the next part without the whole talk being derailed. So I think that's just gonna work way better.
That makes
So
sense.
that's my plan for the Copenhagen version.
Or you could also like pre-record all the cursor parts.
I
So
did
if
that
everything
too
just turned
yesterday.
to be
I did that too
really okay.
yesterday. So I had screenshots of everything,
Oh yeah,
but it just
it's not the
I
same.
think it was like kind of like boiling frog situation where it wasn't quite like bad enough that I felt like I had to like switch to the
Yeah,
boring version.
yeah, yeah,
But then it just like it I probably should have.
yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, so I think I'm just gonna do like a way more like controlled environment. Yeah, and then yeah, I could do like a little video of each that I could like move to if it doesn't work for some reason.
Yeah, because like part of the attraction is like to see it work. It's like
Yeah.
seeing the dots blinking, and then poof, you have a whole
Yeah.
whole file. Um,
Yeah. The
so
other thing
that's
I
why
did,
recordings are better than screenshots or just
I can't
telling the
remember
story, I guess.
if I told you this, but every time I was practicing it, like I kind of forgot to like say out loud my prompts because I was just like typing and it's like hard to
Oh,
remember to talk when you type.
yeah.
So I had the idea to use Super Whisper. So when I was doing my prompts, I was just saying them out loud, which worked well for talk. Um, so I'm gonna keep that part. That was kind of fun. Like I would never do that at home because it's
No,
just like kind of stupid,
I've heard
but it
people
worked
like
well.
start to do it, so I think it's a thing I should just get used to.
Maybe, yeah.
I did it
But it would,
yesterday. I had a session with sorry to interrupt you. I had a session with ChatGPT and all the others. All the friends, I brought them all in. But at some point, I started narrating. Like I think it did two prompts of maybe seven or something. Where I just
yeah. I do
spoke
it
it
on my
out loud.
phone all the time, but in cursor, like it just feels kind of dumb. Like it feels slower than typing when I'm on my computer.
Yeah,
But it's good for a talk because then it's like you everyone can hear what you're telling it to, and it just
yeah.
adds like another interesting layer, I think. So
It's
yeah,
like
I'm gonna keep that part.
if you're narrating what you're writing, it sort of makes both things have the
Bad.
speed.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, and then it was just announced today actually that I was selected to give the same talk at Level Live UK. So going to London in June and giving the talk, which is I'm
Nice.
really excited about. Yeah, so it's nice to have these meetups to like that's like what I told everyone yesterday before even doing the talk. I was like, I have like the very long version today, and then I think for Copenhagen I'm going to do a very tight version, and then I'm just going to see what works best. And I think so far the it looks like the tight version is going to probably work better.
The
Uh,
version where things work. That's the
yeah,
good one.
I mean I did manage to build the app sort of yesterday, but it just took too long, so it's a bit
Mhm.
annoying. Yeah, and I could tell that people were interested in the topic, so that was nice. Like people wanted to talk about it, and there was a guy. He's a partner at a big agency over there, and he said that there were some other developers that were really interested in it, but they weren't able to attend yesterday. So he asked if he could record it and show it to them, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, so it was nice.
So
Except it didn't
when
go as well as I hoped.
yeah, after everything failed, how did your big argument at the end like you're all fired in 2 years? How did that go?
Oh yeah, so I actually didn't have time for that whole part of the talk
Yeah,
because
okay.
the live coding part took so long. But then I joked with some people like, and clearly it's
Yeah.
not going to take our jobs because it doesn't work
For now, for now.
for now. Yeah, so that was fun. Like I like part of me is like kind of tempted to do because I got a lot of positive feedback doing all this stuff and now doing the talk and um there when I was talking about talking at the meetup, there's people on Twitter asking if it was going to be recorded and people messaging me about it and stuff. So that a part of me wants to like structure it a little more and then just sit down with like Screen Studio. Is that what we use now? Screen Studio,
ScreenFlow?
Screen Screen Flow.
Screen
What's
Studio
the
is good as well.
Screen Studio? The one that
ScreenFlow is
the easy
the
one.
decade-old one that's
Yeah, the new one,
sturdy.
the easy one. Screen
The
Studio,
new
right?
one is a Electron-based
Yeah.
JavaScript app
But
called
basically, I was
ScreenFlow.
thinking like maybe
Screen
I should just sit down
Studio.
with that for like 3 hours and record like a little like Laravel and Cursor course, basically, and not charge very much for it because it would just be like pretty like raw. But I don't know, kind of wondering if that would be a good idea or not. With like where I do all the things, like I do more than I did in the talk, and I do it all like bite sized. So then like every time it fails, I could just do it again, and where it doesn't fail. And obviously, you also want to show sometimes when it fails because that's part of learning how to use these tools.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like there was a lot of like interest and like the guy recording it because he wanted to show it to his developers. like kind of made me feel like if you feel like it's worse, like showing up here with like a camera and a microphone and stuff, like maybe you would actually pay like a little bit for like a more like structured course on how to use this in your work, and
Yeah.
people asking for the recordings and stuff like that. So
I
yeah, I don't
think
know.
what's his face? Mark Lu just did a 3 hour YouTube video thing about how to build a whole app
Hmm.
in which he's using Cursor as well. I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah,
Yeah, so mine would be
it's
like how a good
yeah,
developer would do it.
yeah. Shots fired. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's part of it.
I'm just saying
Sort of
that I
part of
had
it.
know literally nothing about him
No,
except
no,
like
no.
the
But
controversy about his app or whatever that people were harassing him about.
yeah, I think he self-identifies as a millionaire now.
Yeah,
But
post
he's just like
economic.
a nice guy. So let's not get too too snarky. But my point was that yeah, there's like many levels to target. Are you an
Yeah,
experienced programmer? You want to use it in one way. Are you like a beginner? You want to
yeah. I
use it
could
in
tell
some
there's
one
like
way. If you're just like completely
mine
new,
would
you want to yeah.
mine would be Laravel focused. I don't feel like I don't really feel like super interested in like learning new people how to program, but um I could just tell that there's like a lot of Laravel developers out there, like more like kind of bread and butter agencies and stuff like that, just doing like just writing Laravel code all day, and it's like their job. And they were all like saying yesterday, like, yeah, I mean, I've tried Cursor a little bit, but then like there was just like there was like so many like things that were different compared to like PHP Storm, and
Yeah.
like I haven't even switched to Visual Studio Code yet, and like everything was different. And like in PHP Storm, I've started using Copilot, but not as much as I probably should. And like so they were all like super curious about it, and like some people messaged me afterwards like, okay, now I'm trying Cursor, and so I think they want to use it, but they just don't really know, like they don't really know if it's even realistic for them to use it in like real projects, because everything they see on
Mhm.
Twitter is like not real projects. Or
I bet if you
yeah,
make
so
the
I
first
just
half about like how to make it work like PHP Storm, how to make it look and work sort of like PHP Storm.
yeah. Yeah, and also like a big point in my talk, actually, I talked for like 10 minutes about AI in the beginning, which I think like a big part of like understanding how Cursor works is understanding how LLMs work.
Mm.
That is like there's a reason you need to talk to it in a certain way, and there's a reason why it hallucinates. And um yeah, so it does have like good like course potential, I think. And I've done free course on Git once that was like my main lead magnet for WP Pusher. That worked really well. Um but yeah, I think even this could be like a little, just like a couple hours, bite-sized lessons, but and just me in like Screen Studio. It wouldn't do anything fancy.
Mm.
Um but yeah, I don't know, it's kind of like an idea I felt like after doing the talk yesterday.
Okay, so
Yeah, so I've been thinking about that course idea, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything about it. But it's just
stuff to
something.
optimize.
Yeah, I had another like, or it's not my idea, but I have another idea to talk about. You remember the link chore idea I had for like putting like the links that like the links to all the chores that you need to do every day, like check your different
Yes.
email inboxes and stuff like that, and then it would have like a little color indicator next to it
Oh
to
yeah.
sort of like if you haven't clicked it for like 12 hours, then maybe it starts to be red or yellow, depending on like what, like how often you need to check it, just to sort of nudge you to like do those things. Um, Rasmus Julskov, a friend of the show, had an interesting idea yesterday that he shared with me, and he said I was free to steal. Maybe doing it as like a native Mac app, as like a command bar thing, where because he wanted to show he wanted to show add stuff to it that was like related to like status of like Vercel deployments and stuff like that. And I want like links to my Gmail with like these color indicators, and he was like, maybe there could just be like a whole little um menu bar app where you can just add stuff to, like book kind of like bookmarks, but not in
Yeah.
the browser. I kind of like that idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cute. I think there's probably a billion of those. Like some are tailored already to your Vasil builds, and some
Yeah,
are like completely custom. Add whatever you want, but you customize it.
yeah,
So maybe there's a soft spot in between. But
yeah.
Mac
Right.
apps, man, it's not a good market.
No, but it sounds like with the Claude 3.7, I could just one shot
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Try.
prompt
Like, it's
it.
pretty good in Swift, and Swift has like if you're sort of done, I can jump to leader key updates maybe because that's relevant to using cursor
Yeah, I am
with
done.
Swift. If you like, you have to configure cursor to um, work with your linting system and builder and LSP and all that, because with that in place, and in the agent mode, it auto fixes the errors that it writes itself, which
Yeah, it
is
does
like
that too
you can get
with
to like a
JavaScript and
three.
Laravel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like it proposes a thing, saves it, sees the errors, tries to fix them. It can really like start going many steps by itself, completely by itself.
Actually, one thing I was just gonna ask you about one thing because you probably know. Like, there was one guy yesterday. He was saying like one of the reasons he didn't want to move from PHP Storm was because all his key bindings were
Yeah,
different in VS Code or in Cursor. And in Cursor you could just open like settings.json. Can you edit your key bindings in that too?
yep. That's what I do to make
Like,
it
so
work
because
like
I was like,
my
you
Vim.
could probably just ask Cursor, like, give it all your key bindings from PHP
Yes.
Storm and ask
Yeah.
Cursor to add the same key bindings to itself.
I'm sure you could just screenshot it and send it to it.
Yeah, yeah, that would probably work.
Maybe even just say to make your own
Yeah,
shortcuts like PHP Storm. Like it's gonna mess
yeah,
some of them up, but many
yeah,
are probably fine. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, so working with Swift is good, and it's one of those cases where a type system really uh, can help you. Uh, like with TypeScript, you get all this extra information about what's wrong and what's how the system works just from the
yeah.
static analysis layer, and that can be really nice. But then again, I wanted to make a theme selector in leader key. And to do that, I had to like abstract the main window and sort of make a an interface or a superclass or something that could be like the abstract version of it, and then have subclasses, of course, that had that implemented it. And I tried to make Cursor do that a few times before I eventually wrote it myself. And that was, first of all, very fun experience. Like coding is fun, it still is, and uh, and it's funny to sometimes. Like I would imagine that that would be a task that it would be good at, but it just wasn't.
Interesting.
Yeah, and sometimes I think um, like it just always did too much, and I wanted to do it like one step at a time to figure out, like to just sort of keep the overview, keep the understanding through it all. That's how I code, right? You do one change, then see how that works, then you do the next one. And every time Cursor tried it, even though I asked it to do as little as possible, it just lost track of it, uh, and I lost sense of it. So in the end, I ended
When
up.
was this?
This was what, 5 days ago,
Oh, okay. Because I
something
just
like
feel
that.
like it's been bad for the last 2 days since the
Oh
update.
yeah, I've tried 3.7, and it's not only better. It's different.
Yeah, it's fast, but it's also like
Yeah, I also didn't
it's
find
just
it
different.
very fast.
Oh, the when I tested it, it was very fast, but then so it did stuff really fast, but then it failed,
Oh yeah,
and then you
yeah,
like made it do it again, and it just got really fast, and then it failed.
yeah. But the theme selector and adding the option to show the cheat sheet that I have in Key now, you get sort of a pop up that shows the keys that you have configured. Those two uh, being added has quieted down the issues a lot. So I think that was the main feature request that people had. But the video is still going. Like people still finding
Nice.
it, commenting on
Yeah,
it.
it's a lot of views.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's nice.
Actually, one thing like speaking of like cursor and it when it's changed and if it's bad and stuff, like do you remember Wireshark to like inspect like network traffic and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I wonder if you could like see the prompts and the stuff
Oh,
that cursor sends to the
interesting.
LLMs if you were monitoring the network.
I I don't know how the SSL
It's
thing
probably
works. Like you
encrypted
need, yeah,
because it's HTTPS and stuff. Yeah.
it is, but you can like install and verify bad. Uh, like you can put a proxy in between, and then
Yeah.
install like some broken certificates to let you inspect things. I'm not familiar. Other than that, I know that it exists. Uh, so yeah, I
We
would
don't
know.
want to sound like criminals here.
Yeah, I just want to say that Kim Jong Un is a dictator and a bad person. Just to clarify my associations here.
And I don't know how to inspect network traffic.
And I
I've
also
just
don't know
heard
how to
people talk
explain
about it.
it. uh, but my session with ChatGPT. So what I did, I for tenor, I was just like back at my worries about how to scale it and make it grand. Uh, and so I asked ChatGPT in like a session to help me figure out a plan for how to take it international. And then after we first I made it like interview me, ask me about the system. Then we came up with sort of an idea of what we wanted to do. And then I asked it to write a prompt that I could that would be fitting for all the reasoning models. And then I took that prompt and put it into Gemini and O1 and Claude and Claude with the thinking thing and one more, I think. I forget which one. Maybe it was just three. And then I barely read what they wrote, but I took all the results and put them back into ChatGPT. It said, these are the results. Give me like the main points." And then it made a super condensed version, which was like validating some of the ideas that we had. But it was like it took half an
Did,
hour, and it would have like if I was using
but
human
was it good?
assistance. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna say like yesterday there was a guy at a meetup yesterday that I think you met when we were doing Level Live last summer. So, but I won't say his name here. But he was talking about like how he had O1 Pro do a marketing plan for his startup thing, and then he was like, and it gave me 24 pages back. And I was like, I would be so mad. Like, fuck you.
Yeah,
Like, don't give me 24 pages.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
never going to read this. Like, what the
That
hell?
looks like work. I'm not
Yeah.
asking you to give me work.
He was like, it was like I hired like McKinsey or something to like give me a report. And I was like, yeah. And I would never do that.
Yeah, you want McKinsey to condense it down, but it actually did condense it down, and also because I asked it to. But the reasoning and the research models, I wasn't using any of the expensive research models, which I think
Mm-hmm.
uh,
O1 Pro.
have like there's an additional layer of research. But all of the deep thinking reasoning models um, found like Reddit threads and arguments for and against Patreon, for example, which was used to back our what should I say, like our argument
Positioning.
up. Yeah. Um, so it was really nice, and it sort of
That's cool.
it gave me some confidence in the idea that we made it. It wasn't just me and the certainly machine making up plans that didn't have any hold in reality. It was like an actual good argument for tenor, which still like I have some like uh troubles in my own understanding of why, like what's my reason to exist when there's also Patreon. But now I actually have a reason to exist. That's not just it's the
You should
Danish
try
one.
it. You should try to challenge it a bit. Like, you could try to do it like different angles. Like, you could try to tell it that you're an investor and you're pitched this
Oh yeah, that's
startup.
nice.
Because then it probably like try not to disagree with the idea.
Yeah,
Like, it try to be more like skeptical.
Yeah.
Or like I was also thinking like when I went to business school, we always had these like Harvard Business School case studies where they give you like a business case study and then you have to like come up with a plan for like a marketing plan or something like that for it.
Yeah.
And you could probably also just try to say like you try to solve this like MBA Harvard business case study, whatever.
Yeah.
Just try
Yeah.
to make because you want to try to see if you can get it to disagree. I think because it's so
Yeah.
easy for it to like say it's a good
Yes.
idea.
Yeah. I often write, it's okay to say no.
Yeah,
It's just like instead of writing a period or like
it really turns me on
please,
when you
it's
say
just
no.
like, yeah, please say no to me. Like,
Yeah.
would it be a big benefit if you would just disagree sometimes?
Yeah.
So yeah, that works as well. On NitroKit, I have successfully installed it into Tenor and am already using it. So upgrading to Tailwind 4 was a little bit of a challenge. No, it wasn't actually. It was actually like compared when you think of like how much has changed, it took like maybe 20 minutes. So it wasn't bad at all.
Okay.
But but it was still like it wasn't 0 minutes.
Yeah, we're not used to things taking 20 minutes in this AI world.
No, no, no. But it was actually kind of nice. And I have it
It's like
running
20
inside
minutes,
of
like a
Tenor
full
now.
workday.
Yeah. And I can use it, which is really great because now I get to like reap the fruit of don't reap fruit, pluck the fruit of my my
Something.
efforts. Yeah. And I also gave uh, 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 a premium license to Nicholas, our common shared friend, for him to try building with it in his new thing, and he liked it. He had a whole wish list of components, so I think
Nice.
that means that it works at least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
great.
think that's the updates, I guess. I'm going with the fully international approach to Tenor, but focusing on Sweden. ChatGPT and all the models
That's
agreed with me that it would be a good idea to focus on one country first because, like Sweden, because it's like culturally so like similar
go
to
after
Denmark.
Sweden. And when the water between Denmark and Sweden freezes over, it's time to take revenge and
Yeah,
cross.
yeah. Gyngeholding. But and also to focus on the niches because that's really my biggest projects on Tenor are the niches. So like it's a politics show, it's a football show, and that's soccer for the Americans, and it's like a astrology show.
Okay.
So it's not like it's not Joe Rogan. That's my main customer. It is actually someone from a niche, and also because like uh, people listening to niche podcasts have like more appreciation that someone is actually talking about the thing that they
Hmm.
are into, which is
Yeah,
like
they want that to stay around.
yeah, for like all the podcasts that are just like famous people talking shit. It's like okay, that's a different thing, and it's of course welcome on Tenor as well, but the niches are really where I think Tenor
The
is good.
riches are in the niches.
Yeah, it's like the model is instead of something
Can
like
we
Podimo, where it's like or Spotify for international listeners, where everyone pays like pennies to listen to a thing. Uh,
can we have tenor for this show? I'm ready to start making some money from this show.
yes, yes, of course we can. Let's make it a let's make it a test. Dog fooding.
Do you have to run now, or can I talk about one final thing?
Yeah, you can do it.
Do you know Indie Brands?
Indie brands. So is this
Indiebrands.io.
like a Iron Brands from Simple Analytics? Is that his brother or sister?
I don't. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what you're talking
Do you know
about.
simpleanalytics.com?
Yes.
Yes, the one of the co-founders, someone who joined the marketing guy. His name is Iron Brands.
Okay. Yeah. It's
He's
not.
a Dutch
It's not
guy, so it's
related
actually
to that.
I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but it is his name
No.
is actually Iron Brands.
Indie Brands is a website where you can buy a brand, basically.
Oh,
So they make these like fake brands, and then they make a logo for it and get a domain name for it, and then they put it up for sale on the website. And it's
wow.
kind of cool. I used it once with Reform because I was always looking for like a fake company to use every time I needed like screenshots or something. So I bought a fake brand there called MailBay, which was like so I had like a fake email kind of SaaS business that I
All
always
right.
used for like Reform demos and stuff like that.
So it's like
So
buying a
it's just
domain with a
with a
brand
logo.
and a logo
Yeah.
and some, I don't know, what's the Google ranking? Maybe.
Yeah, there's no Google ranking, I think, because it's literally just like the main
Oh, wow.
and the logo. But yeah, and the guy who made it, there might have been two guys, but like there's only one guy running it now. I think he's like he's a designer, so the site looks really good too. But you saw like Josh Pickford, he did started doing the Dutch auctions for all his
Oh,
sites.
yeah.
Did you see
I
that
saw
on
that.
Twitter?
Sold the
So
first one
they're
for like 20,000 and then the other ones haven't sold, I guess. Did
yeah,
they?
but they're doing it for indie brands too, because he has
Oh,
another app that's like way more successful, and they started at 40,000. And then in my head, I was like, it's never going to happen. But if it gets close to 10K, maybe I'll consider it. But then then it started getting closer to 10K. And I was like, actually, I don't know. This is probably a waste of my time because there's no recurring. Like, I'm not a designer. So, like, I wouldn't be good at like making the logos. And also, it's like not like recurring. But if you go to
it's
indiebrands.io/buy,
it's
it's at
IO.
5K now. Indiebrands.io/buy, and it's a 5K now.
So is it for
And
the
they made,
whole thing? For indie brands itself? Yeah. All
yeah,
right.
plus all the inventory. So you get like 70 domain names or something included in that
Wow.
with the logos. And yeah, they made 50K in total just selling these domain names. It's kind of tempting. It's starting to become really tempting. But I also feel so bad for them because they started at 40K. And I think right now they're less than like 1 year trailing revenue. So if
Yeah.
I was them, I was probably just gonna like jump ship and just be like, I'm buying it myself, or my
Yeah, but
wife bought it.
how do you want to how do you intend to keep inventory going? Like, would you just like,
If I bought it,
yeah, keep it
yeah,
until you
that's
don't
the.
have any more brands and then it's done, or what do you?
I'm thinking like at 5K, I'm like almost starting to think like you could just sell all the inventory and make
Yeah.
more than the 5K. Um, but yeah, I don't know what I would do because I'm not like a very good designer. So
It's just
and
like,
it's
yeah, these are some great logos and some fun
like
names.
bashhash.com is like a good name.
Yeah,
Copyrave.com is like a
not too
good
bad.
name. Fontlens.com is a good name.
It's like, and
Chartbot, that's a
I'm
good
just
name.
as bad at this as anyone. But like
Caleb should buy Chartbot, you know?
when you look at somebody else's domain list, it's like, what are you thinking? Like,
Yeah.
how would this ever become anything else than your idea for like 2 seconds? And
Yeah.
it's the same when I look at my own domain list. It's just such a long shot with these domains, unless you have like shampoo.com. Like,
Yeah.
what, what are you gonna do,
Onions.com.
man? I mean, and then still someone bought tenor.com and I bought it from him, so it does work for obscure names sometimes. But it's just like when
Yeah,
Josh
but like some of the
Pickford
names they
posted that.
sold here are like really great, I think. Like linkfuse.com is like a great name that's on the sold list.
Yeah, yeah,
Some
I
of them are really
guess.
bad. Task gun,
Warning.
copy marker.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
or
don't
just
know. Like, I'm
making
just looking
noises.
at this every day and like thinking about whether I should buy it. But I don't think it's a great business. I think it's a fun like side project, but I don't think I need like a fun side project right now. I think I need something that has more potential, and I don't think this has like a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've been looking at this every day for the past 6 days or whatever, and
Deep
I wonder what's
div.
happening. Why no one's buying it?
Yeah, yeah.
I would just buy it myself if it was my site and try to get
Yeah,
out of this situation.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's funny with the valuations, right? It's just like
Yeah, and
you
it's
can
just
put
like
a
it
price
worked
on
for
it, but if
Josh
no
to
one
do the
wants to
Dutch
buy it at
auction.
that price,
Yeah, but maybe I am sure they would have made more money selling the site if they put it on acquire.com, where there's actually like people looking for stuff to
yeah,
buy. Because this is only for people who follow this guy on Twitter.
yeah,
And obviously he did it because Josh did it for his thing, and then it worked.
yeah.
But then it didn't work for this guy, and then it just kind of sucks.
And it also didn't work for Josh's other projects.
No,
So maybe it
right?
was just the one project
He
that was.
yeah, yeah. So probably not the recommended way to sell your business. Probably just go via someone who like specializes in selling businesses.
Yeah, maybe it's like
Yeah.
yeah, or just leave it. I mean, put a for sale tag on it and then just leave it.
Yeah, I mean, at 5K, I would probably just take all the domain names and list it on some platform for selling domain names.
Yeah, yeah. He's a funny dude, that Josh Pickford.
For sure is.
It's like
Anyways, just thought
yeah.
that was like an interesting little thing, so I wanted to show it to you. But I don't have any more on my list now.
All right. Well, nice catching up.
And see you later.
See you later.